just when you think they're turning the corner in terms of they had a great result against Palace, where at home, 20 minutes the game was done. Then over 2 legs they put out Chelsea in the Cup semi-final, albeit Chelsea were poor, but Arsenal still got the job done and were the better side. And then they pitch up and perform like that, and the way they defended in this game was a shocker.
Looked like they never played together before.
But this is kind of what Arsenal do, isn't it? They go through little spells if you think, oh, wait a minute, they've got this together. They look decent at the back as well, which you have to be in the games they've just won. And then they've scored goals, and then all of a sudden, they kind of revert back to what we've kind of come to expect now in Arsenal, is a team that just looks gutless. They looked gutless tonight.
8 points now off the top 4. This is what
Arsenal will do, right? This is what will happen. They'll throw out a little bit of bait to the supporters who, and we know I don't know if it's a 50-50 split or who wants Wenger out. But you know the opinion most of us in here, his time came and went a long time ago. But they'll throw that bit of bait out where, oh, we're signing Mkhitaryan. Oh, this is a great deal. Well, Sanchez is going, oh, Aubameyang's coming in. Oh, we're in the League Cup semi-final. We might win the Europa League. You know, they'll throw that out as bait, but they're miles off being even close to making a challenge. Never mind getting in the top 4.
I don't want to sound overly paranoid here, but it does kind of feel like there's these business decisions being made, like, well, we can't pay Sanchez, so, oh, but look, here's Mkhitaryan, who's, not really done much in 18 months, but it's okay because look, we got this guy from Dortmund who nobody'd ever heard of until very recently, this Sven Mislintat, and he'll get Mkhitaryan back to being, the greatest thing ever. And look, and we'll get Aubameyang. Never mind the fact that, oh, how's he going to play with Lacazette? But that's all right. We'll figure it out. And never mind the fact that both these guys are in their late 20s now, and Aubameyang's had disciplinary issues. All this stuff coming together. And meanwhile, sort of very quietly, you go back a few years ago, all those years that Wenger was criticized for sticking with Theo Walcott and sticking with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Jack Wilshere now is, quote, like a new signing. But now these guys are all gone, right? Weren't these guys supposed to be the future? And probably stuck with them for far too long, but now like they're sort of quietly out the door. And I don't know, you really, I don't want to sound paranoid, but you really wonder what is happening. Are we seeing, is this the end of Wenger again, with the club now saying, all right, to one side, now somebody else is in charge?
Let's bring Mark Ogden into the conversation because, of course, as Craig mentioned, there's been a lot of talk recently about Aubameyang going to Arsenal. And Mark, this seems to be quite a bit of musical chairs when it comes to strikers within London and beyond, because rumours are that you've got Aubameyang going to Arsenal, Giroud going to Chelsea, and Batshuayi going to Dortmund.
Yeah, Aubameyang is currently in London, undergoing his medical, we think. That should be done tomorrow. But Dortmund won't let him go properly until Batshuayi or until they get a striker in. So it looks like Giroud to Chelsea, and when Giroud arrives at Chelsea, Batshuayi will go to Dortmund. So it is a bit of musical chairs, but I think by midday tomorrow, maybe mid-afternoon, it should all be done, and Arsenal get Aubameyang and Chelsea get Giroud. It's a strange one, Giroud, because I'm not quite sure what he has to Chelsea in terms of pace and goals, but it's goals for Arsenal. But I don't know. It seems like a bit of a compromise for Conte rather than what he really wants.
Let's start with Aubameyang, then, shall we? Yeah. As Gab says, tactically, maybe this doesn't quite make sense, but is an upgrade on what they've got already.
It should be.
Wait, an upgrade over Lacazette?
Yeah.
Is this what we're saying now? All of a sudden, like, Aubameyang is such an obvious upgrade over Lacazette, who's the one position that they just added in the summer that you would think they would need to fill. And
but he's been poor.
Oh, no, you can't say he's... By the way, you can't just turn around and say he's been poor. By the way, the service he's been getting has been horrible. And then when it's come to some of the big games this season, he hasn't even started.
Well, that tells you a story.
The numbers that
you saying Lacazette's a better player than Aubameyang?
Yes.
Oh, Wayne, don't.
Yes, I am. 100%.
Wayne, don't hate him.
100%.
Listen, if Arsenal had signed Aubameyang in the summer ahead of Lacazette, you wouldn't have batted an eyelid.
You take the pace away from Aubameyang, what you got left?
Well, but he's got
pace. You take pace away from what you got left. Lacazette's a far better football player. He's got far better his back to goal as well. He understands the game so much better. Aubameyang is all about pace and balls in behind. Because he can't hold the ball up.
And when was having great pace such a big problem in the modern game?
But
he's not 34.
If you're trying to say that Aubameyang is better than Lacazette, I'm just telling you that because of his pace, people.
Either way, I think the assumption is that he's going to, I would assume, I mean, unless he's thoroughly gone mad, play the two of them together because they have got so much money now tied up in these players. And the idea is these two guys together, which then raises another issue that, unless I'm forgetting something, these two have only ever played as lone strikers, certainly in recent years. And Aubameyang hasn't played on the wing since maybe his first season at Dortmund. So I don't know. It seems like all of a sudden you're changing everything, changing the way you play, going back to two strikers like back in the days of Alan Smith and Ian Wright.
You're not going to two strikers. Some clown said to me on social media the other day, oh, he's going to play Aubameyang and Lacazette, and then he's going to put Mkhitaryan and Ozil. Have you seen this midfield and defence? Do you really think, does anybody really think that Arsenal can play with such an attacking force that they've got enough backbone in this team to cope with all those players? I don't think so. I don't think they're even close.
I mean, Craig, you made the point that I think it's right. The fact I just don't think that there's a plan behind this. I think that they brought Aubameyang in because they needed a big name, they needed a big statement signing because Sanchez has gone to Man United, and I can't see Lacazette and Aubameyang playing together. I've seen quite a bit of Lacazette this season. I think he's just such a downgrade of what Arsenal have had in the past. He's not in the same league as people like Van Persie, Henry. You're right, he doesn't have the pace. He doesn't seem to have the aggression, the confidence. He seems to shrink into his shell when he plays against bigger teams, and I just think they've made a big mistake with Lacazette, and I think Aubameyang is a way of trying to rectify that. But again, Ozil, Mkhitaryan, I've seen a lot of Mkhitaryan at United, doesn't work hard enough, which is he's probably born to play for Arsenal. He's got all the Arsenal credentials. He's a kind of a nice player on the ball when it's going well, but when it's going badly, you won't see Mkhitaryan. So Mkhitaryan, Ozil, people and Lacazette, it just doesn't stack up. So I don't know where this all fits into a big master plan. I just think Arsenal need a big name. Aubameyang is that. I think he'll do well in the Premier League. I think he's got pace, he's got height, he'll score goals, he's confident. He's a much better bet than Lacazette, but I think Lacazette just fades away after this.
Aubameyang's done it at a higher level. Well, let's be honest, let's take them in context, right? I was talking about Aubameyang going to China in the summer and whatnot, and he's been going to make this big move for a while. Maybe a lot of it's down to the disciplinary problems that people haven't taken him. Maybe some don't like him. But I didn't think there was that many out there absolutely with the begging ball chasing Lacazette before he went to Arsenal. No? Was Lacazette this big fish? Was Lacazette this big fish?
If you're going to use that argument, you could say the same about Aubameyang. Aubameyang has been...
Who's played at the higher level?
Aubameyang has been going...
Who's played at the higher level?
Aubameyang has been going around Europe, hawking himself to every man and dog that will listen, but he's still at Dortmund. He can't... So...
Possibly from a disciplinary point of view. Possibly from a disciplinary point of view. Who has played at the higher level in the last 5 or 6 years? Lacazette or Aubameyang?
Well, obviously, Aubameyang has played at Dortmund, which is supposedly a better league than France.
That's
what you're getting at.
The Champions League?
The next piece of this puzzle.
There's no puzzle.
Giroud to Chelsea.
There's no puzzle.
Does Giroud to Chelsea work, in your eyes?
Well, if they want...
Stevie?
No.
Why not?
Well, Conte looks as though he's looking for a figurehead. To hold the ball up and to bring other people in. So why is he looking at Giroud? Because Giroud, in my opinion, with his back to goal, isn't great on the ball. And if you can't hold the ball up, then you're not going to be able to bring people like Hazard or Pedro in. So why is he signing
There's
him?
another club with no plan.
Yeah.
It seems strange to be saying this about these huge clubs that have been successful, but where's the plan at Chelsea?
Chelsea have an excuse relative to Arsenal because Chelsea don't have a director of football right now, and they have a manager who could be gone in 6 months, whereas the other one just brought in this newfangled expert, Mislintat, and on top of that, they have a manager who we know will be there for eternity. You know, he's like Highlander, right? You know, there could be only one. So I think the idea with Giroud is short term. You have a big body, and if you want to play him as a target man, and if you go back a couple years when expectations were perhaps lower, I think they feel he can do a job for them, and Batshuayi, I would expect will be alone, but not somebody they give up on entirely.
Arsenal brought this Mislintat in, who had been at Dortmund, and Wenger was quoted as, and I think I might be out of turn, but here I don't know, but he was quoted as saying, "Well, we know all the players anyway. Unless he's spotted some player at some small, tiny little club in Germany. We know all the players. I mean, there's arrogance for you.
Mark, there are suggestions that Manchester City have put in a bid for the Leicester City midfielder.
Yeah, well, as we know, Man City couldn't afford Alexis Sanchez at around £35 million, but they might have to pay. Well, Leicester are going to hold out for £90 million for Riyad Mahrez. I think they're going to struggle to get that, but he's got 2.5 years left in his contract. Leicester's owners don't need to sell. They're quite wealthy. They're very determined to keep him. So, I mean, City might have to pay or offer around £70 million just to even get to the table on deadline day, and that's a big fee for a guy that can only play for the next 6 weeks before Leroy Sané gets fit again. So, it's a strange move to make because City keep telling us they can't afford to sign this player or that player, but all of a sudden a player gets injured and bang, they go out and try and sign Riyad Mahrez. So I don't think that deal will get done. I just think there's too much at stake there for Leicester. It's such a big deal for City to do. I think that one might just fall by the wayside on Wednesday.
What do you make of this, Craig? How hard do you push if you're Manchester City? Do you try and get this done?
At the right price. Otherwise,
But what is the right price anymore?
Well, I don't think it's 90 million or thereabouts. I'll tell you that for sure. The player, I believe, might be agitated if Leicester are making it clear that they don't want to sell. The player could try and agitate for the move. Whether that will help, I don't know. I love watching him play. He's a real talented player. But at the right price, he'd be a good player for them to bulk up an already big squad, but not at the kind of figures that have been mentioned. Why are you always pulling a face?
Because to me, this makes zero sense whatsoever.
What, buying a good player makes no sense?
No, but it makes zero sense for City right now.
What City? That's Leicester City and Man City.
No, for only one. Yeah. For Manchester City, it makes no sense.
Why?
It doesn't make sense in terms of the fact that Riyad Mahrez, while he's fantastic, he's played very well. He plays in a completely different system, plays a completely different type of football.
Well,
if you're going to play in the sort of more pressing system that Pep wants to play, I don't think he's the right guy. I think he's now 26, 27 years old. To lock in that kind of money when you already have, even with Sané injured, you already have a wealth of alternatives who can play in wide areas. It's not as if Gabriel Jesus has been kidnapped by aliens. He's going to be back soon from his injury. You still have Raheem Sterling. Bernardo Silva can play on the other side as well if need be. It just doesn't make any sense. And also, we can all mock Pep Guardiola and say, like, oh, look, you're pleading poverty. You've got tons and tons of money. But what he meant was they can't compete with Manchester United because they have a different business model and they simply make less money. But the financial fair play restrictions that they have to deal with are as real for them as they are for any other club.
Big game tomorrow at Wembley. Spurs against Manchester United. Spurs big favourites.
52%.
The SBI loves Tottenham.
The SBI. That seems high, doesn't it, Stephen?
It does, aye. I would have said this was 50-50.
No draw.
Sorry?
Draw out the window. It's not happening.
Well, if it's 50-50, then there's a good possibility it's a draw.
I mean, it's 33, 33, 33, isn't it?
Why is that?
Shut up.
That's 99.
Yeah, well,
Where's the other percent gone?
Well, 0.3 then.
Yeah, it's surprising that they have them such big favourites because I think it's very hard to separate them.
Yeah.
Tottenham have been inconsistent this year. And the one thing you know with Man United is that they are consistent. They're maybe not the greatest team to watch as far as the eye's concerned, but they get results. So I find it hard to separate them.
Saw that SBI. That SBI has been floating about for 24 hours with that. I thought somebody would have had the brains to change it by now. Seriously. I mean, that's just stupid. Man United, 23%.
Well,
they're a tough team to beat. They've got pace on the counter-attack.
Alexis Sanchez.
Sanchez, a new signing, 23%.
And Spurs are coming off that
Great
performance against Newport County, which, again, obviously it was they rotated and whatnot, but it's still not exactly something that really gives you a bounce in your step, knowing that you're going to have to go and play an FA Cup replay. And obviously there was no Christian Eriksen at the weekend as well. So I don't know.
What's wrong with Spurs?
I don't think there's that much wrong with Spurs. I think
They
part
were
of it
awful
is
against Southampton, dreadful against Newport.
I think it's not a very deep squad. I think when you're not, unless you're physically on top of your game, I think you get diminishing returns from the type of football that Pochettino plays. And I think it's as simple as Dele Alli this season isn't last season's Dele Alli. And then you don't want to be too critical about a guy who's still very young and whatever else. But Dele Alli is supposed to be Tottenham's second best player and a real game changer, the guy to take pressure off Harry Kane. And I don't think it's happened for him at all this year.
When you're saying it's not a big squad, they've got four wing backs, effectively. They can change the wing backs, and he often does. They can leave Dembele on the bench. If you left Wanyama on the bench, they've got Llorente, who's signed as a backup to Harry Kane, whether you like him or not. But he's been an international footballer. That ain't bad as a backup.
No, but what I would say is Wanyama has obviously been injured for most of the season. He's only come back relatively recently. In other positions, obviously Alderweireld still out at the back, and too often he moves Dyer back there, which I don't think is a good solution. And I just don't think he's as comfortable with some of his alternatives as he is with his starters.
Do you know what? Do you know what the only interesting thing about this game is? How are Man United going to play? That's what I'm...
How do you think they're going to play?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Going to play the counter, Stevie, surely.
4-3-3.
How are they going to park the bus? Are they going to be as deep as they were like against the likes of Liverpool?
I think so.
You know, you've just signed Sanchez. Is Sanchez after 90 minutes going to be going, hold on a minute, I've just joined the crowd here that's sitting at the edge of the box?
Hello, welcome to Extra Time. Gab Marcotti is here. Gab, it is literally a flying visit, isn't it?
Seamless.
It certainly is a flying visit. I landed landed at JFK some 6 hours ago.
Playing, isn't it?
How was immigration? Did you waltz through?
I waltzed through there. I got a football fan at Customs and Border.
Football or soccer?
Soccer.
Soccer.
Right.
So there you go.
There you go.
Yes, who enjoys watching the show and has a particular simpatico for Craig.
Why is he? Why simpatico?
What?
Why simpatico?
He just tends to love. She thinks Craig is handsome and pleasant.
Wow. Does not know him very well.
Maybe it's just relative to the rest of us, but you know.
How are you feeling about the Super Bowl?
Quickly move on.
He's been crying all day.
No, I'm feeling more positively. I believe the line's moving in, reflecting the fact that
What's the line at the moment? 5? 6?
I think it started 6.5 and has come in, and I think reflecting the
Patriots are
fact
just
that
lucky, aren't they?
yeah, I think people are
The
really
gap earlier on, not
Just
only
been
are they lucky, but they cheat. I mean, you name it.
There are certain facts there, yes? There are certain.
8 Super Bowls in, what, 16 years?
I don't know what you're
They
looking at.
haven't won 8 Super Bowls in
No,
16
they've been in
years.
8 Super
They're just
Bowls.
like to lie about it.
But they have won 6 of them. So,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
they
one
must
way to
be
look at it, yeah.
Very, very lucky and not that good.
That's one way to look at it.
Aye.
That factual way.
There are other
It's
It's just very relevant, of course, what happened like 12 years ago is very relevant to what happens today.
So Brady's not any good.
Anyway,
Okay.
He's old!
Right.
I'm not working
It's time
Sunday,
for
so
Nick
I'll be
Foles.
watching at home with a Roy Kinnear. I'll be at that as well.
Okay, let's talk Laporte, shall we? Is the subject?
Port? No, I don't like it. I love it. Port.
Good or not, Laporte?
Ginger
Well,
beer.
I'll tell you what, to me, the single most important thing of the Laporte deal, so Aymeric Laporte, you're talking about somebody who, when he came up at 18, 19, everybody was raving about him. People were talking about, oh, Real Madrid, Barcelona, everybody's going to come in and sign him. And then he kind of stalled. I mean, the guy's 23 years old, and he has as many international caps as you do, Dan. He's never been capped for France. He's
Well, how
capped all
come
the
people
way
are raving about him?
because he's very athletic, and
You
he's
never mentioned him in the show.
I have mentioned him on those.
Did he get injured? Wasn't it an injury?
He's had an injury, no, but he's been back now. He's very athletic. He's comfortable on the ball. Some people think he's too comfortable on the ball. I think in some ways the analogy is a little bit with what people were saying about John Stones. So that, he was still a little raw, more of a project. And to me, if City are committing these funds to Laporte, it's because they think that Pep can work with him and turn him into, and basically unlock his potential, because he's certainly, in my opinion, he's certainly not there now. And to me, that suggests that maybe Pep is already thinking beyond his 3rd season, and he will stick around past 2019. It's just a guess. I know he's done the 3-year thing, but...
So you think this is Pep signing and not Beguristain or any of these other guys?
I think Begiristain is gone when Pep's gone, personally. But I think he's a project. You're spending a ton of money on a guy who could turn out to be fabulous.
That's a lot on Laporte.
But
let's move on to Jack Harrison, shall we? Who joined Manchester City.
Custard pie.
Exactly.
By the way, can I just tell you, they were 2 different people.
What do you mean?
Beguristain and Beguristain.
Yeah. By the way, it's like enough Laporte who cost 65 million. Let's move on to Dr. Jack Harrison.
I thought
He's
you
far
moved
more
on
interesting.
already. You let him back in there.
What I didn't.
You let him back in.
Because Pep works with players and improves them.
Oh, there we go.
But Jose doesn't.
Jack
Partly,
Harrison.
and Man United
Year
fans-
time, he'll definitely
All
go
right, I'll
with
just
Pep
keep
goes
it
as
in.
well.
Right, Jack Harrison.
What about him?
What's going on? He's going to go to Borough. Will he play for Borough? Let's start there.
Is that a question for extra time? Will Jack Harrison play for Borough?
Well, how well would Jack Harrison do in England? So I have just... What, do you want to answer that?
I'm not sure that you...
Well, I think that probably means how will he do in the Premier League.
I don't think... Well, why? How do you know?
Middlesbrough aren't in the Premier
might
League.
be else
Well,
gonna
if he's a
know.
fan of the Championship, fine, right? We don't get many fans of the Championship.
He hasn't mentioned the Premier League, has he?
Who?
Robbie Russell Jr.
No, but what I'm saying is, if anybody mentions England, I'm presuming, I'm being very presumptuous here, I'm presuming they're talking about will he do well in the Premier League? And he's not going to play in the Premier League.
Well, that's why I brought up Borough.
Was he going to do well in the Championship?
Yeah.
So that's what the interest is, how well he'll do in the Championship.
I think it's a good litmus test, isn't it? Considering this is a player considered a higher
Well, how you
quality
do in the Championship is a good litmus test.
as to where the MLS compares.
All right, is that we're comparing MLS and Championship now?
Well, I think in some ways it's implicit in that.
Yeah, I
And
think it's an interesting comparison.
What's implicit?
is MLS better than, is the standard better
What
than
can
the
argument is
Championship?
that? Who cares?
Well, Mr. Roddy Russell Jr.
No, he
cares.
doesn't. He didn't mention the Championship.
Okay. Let's just stick with Borough.
How many people have you tried to? How many people have tried to say, "Oh, MLS, well, you know, MLS in the Championship"?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. No, but I mean, it's like,
The Championship is a step up from MLS.
Yeah.
It remains to be
I'm out of
seen
this discussion.
whether he'll do well at Borough.
You don't even know what the discussion is.
Well, I know we're
It
doing
remains to
this.
be seen whether he'll actually start.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Pulis, the first thing he'll do when he goes in there,
Tony's great.
make sure the defence is good. He's not going to be totally concentrating on the attacking side of
What's
the
this
game.
got to do with Jack
Well,
Harrison?
because Jack Harrison's going to Middlesbrough on loan.
Oh, thanks.
And Tony Pulis is the manager at Middlesbrough. And he's only just gone there.
And he's going to work in the defence.
I would suggest that's what he does first and foremost, which is not going to help Jack Harrison as he's a forward.
Right. Final tweet. This is to you, Gav. Even me. Right, let's get it up. There it is. Hey, Mark Botti, I'm going to Italy for Inter against Napoli. Is there a restaurant or something you recommend I go to? I know I shouldn't order the lasagna.
Oh!
How much time do we have?
Well, plenty. Well, enough time.
Not
you
enough
need to
time for
speak.
you to sit in silence for 10 minutes.
I think there's a ton,
Right, your
as you
go-to
know
restaurant.
from
Let's
being
keep
We
this
know there's a
simple.
ton of restaurants.
No, but you must have a go-to.
Oh, I don't know.
not
It's
more
in
than
Cardiff.
one. It's not. It's
Yeah, what
it's
kind
not,
of restaurant though? He might want a curry or something like that.
you know, Milan caters to that as well. We have a huge range
That's just what
of available restaurants.
But,
But I would recommend going to the Navigli area.
okay. And what would you order?
The canals. Well, I certainly would order lasagna. But
Nobody said that.
Is it a
if you want
particular?
typical stuff from Milan, we do our signature dishes are the risotto alla milanese, which is rice with saffron, or the cotoletta alla milanese, which is it's usually a veal cutlet breaded. Breaded and it's normally fried in butter. Some people do it in olive oil.
Right.
You can't go wrong.
Perfect. There we go. There's your
You're
recommendation.
the city of everything, Milan.
I'm having that tonight. What was it called? Second one?
It's called cotoletta alla milanese.
Some sort of baby.
Right.
And don't overcook your steaks, for God's sake.
ESPN
Well done,
FC.
steak. Make sure.
Stop it.
My goodness. ESPN FC is back tomorrow. It's transfer day, isn't it? 6 p.m. Eastern. ESPN News.